Hi, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you are. And
Hi,
it's me, Alexa.
aloha.
It's
Aloha.
again airing from Japan. We'll be joined by wonderful guests from Hawaii and from the US in 1 second. But before we begin, let us reintroduce why we are here today. So we have a new order, specific instruction from Zeus, Zeushi, today for us. And that is that we need to talk about the prayer or the act of praying, that we have to convey what needs to be known about the act of praying. We have to have a session to discuss it now because of what's happening in the world, what can be achieved from praying at the current moment of global crisis and its escalation. Why do we need to pray? What do we pray for? What is the meaning of it? The war is unfolding because we do not have enough praying going around. So that's the message from Zeus. And therefore, we quickly put together this session for us to discuss it. But first, let me ask Yuka-san, maybe a few words about today's session, the theme. じゃあ今日のセッションについてゆかさん、もしなんか
はい。
加えることがあったら。
そうですね。今回のセッションは、ゼウス氏からまずオーダーをもらって、それでやることになったんですけど、今、祈りがとにかく足りてなくて、でそしてその祈りの力が必要だから、たくさんの人に祈りについてのことを伝えなさいって言われたんです。
So yes, we have this again, new order from Zeus, the source entity. And his real concern or the message for us is that we just don't have enough prayer or the act of praying going around. And the world needs that power to be created by the act of praying. So we need to talk about it now and we need to talk about it together.
で祈りを しなさいということはこれまでもずっと言われてきていたので、私たちも自分たちの活動の中でいろんなところで祈りをしてきたんだけども、今とにかく本当に必要、もう急いでいると。でそれはやっぱり今世界で起こってしまっている争いだ、それを小さくするためにも祈りの力でその争いの規模が小さくなっていくから、だからその争いを小さくしたい人は祈るっていうことをした方がいいと。それが宇宙的にはすごく今急ぎでとにかく急いでるっていう、その宇宙の急いでる感じもすごかったので、それで今日はこういう場を設けようと。みんなにも呼びかけて、お願いしました。
And of course, we have been talking about praying. We have prayed together. We have got together and organized events to do this, to pray together. So this is not new. But what's new is that what's happening in the world right now. Right? There's a crisis unfolding. And for those of us who really, wish to mitigate it, we need the power of the prayer. And it has to be a collective effort to generate the power of prayer. So what's different this time is that the universal concern and the sense of urgency that we actually need to pray to mitigate the crisis, to de-escalate what's happening. And we need to do it together now. So that sense of urgency and sort of real sort of concern is what prompted the session today. じゃあ、はい。では、今日のゲストをご紹介する感じでいいかしら。All right, then let us introduce the guests for today. Perhaps Kum and Pom can come on the screen. And as we wait, let me also say a few words about the guests today to introduce them, and I'll turn the floor to them. It's my pleasure, and I think it's our collective pleasure to introduce Kumu, Hilina'i Stephany, Kumu Hula teacher. and also High Priestess from Puna on the big island of Hawaii. We actually have tried to bring Kumu to this session earlier and it hasn't worked out. So it is a special thank you for making it happen and joining us today. Kumu is Miko and Kazu's Hula teacher, and she has studied Hula and chanting under 14 different teachers in the Hawaii Islands. Her devotion to perpetuating traditional Hawaiian culture takes Kumu and her allowed to numerous ceremonies, festivals, celebrations of Hawaiian culture all over the world. Outside the Hawaiian Island themselves, she has taken Hula to Alaska, the Canadian Yukon, Japan, of course, Australia, Germany, Belgium, South Korea, New York, New Zealand, among other places. So I'll ask Kumu to maybe say a few first in a second, but also let me reintroduce to those of you who have seen Michael Palm on the screen before. Let me just also once again introduce Michael Palm, president of the Winneman Wintu tribe of Mount Shasta, California. And his tribal lineage is known to be born from the mineral springs, the original springs of Mount Shasta. And he's the director of award-winning short film 2020 called One Word Solomon. So maybe I see hello from the audience to both of you. Perhaps maybe I can ask Kum to also say a few words about you and what you thought of the what you thought of the message from Zeus.
Aloha, mahalo nui loa for inviting to be here today with all of you. And the prayer is very important. And I pray, I pule, we say pule in Hawaiian. I pray every day, every morning, every evening, and throughout the day. And it's always for peace and love all around the world. And right now with this problem that we have in Ukraine is a very serious and bad thing that's happening. And with all of our prayers coming together, we will, our mana, our spiritual power will come together very strong with our prayers to help this problem that's happening right now on the other side of the world for us. And yes, mahalo nui loa for having me here today. And I have much to share and say.
Thank you so much. Let me just translate really quick. So で、クムさんはやはりもう毎日、毎朝、毎晩、一日中お祈りをしています。やはりその平和のために祈っています。で、今、ウクライナで起こっていることも含めて、やっぱりそのみんなの祈りの力を合わせて、で、そのスピリチュアルなその力っていうものを、もう一度考え直すときだと思います。ということでした。Before I turn the microphone to Palm, may I also ask one question? I understand you are Miko's Hula teacher, and you have given Miko a special name, Hilina'i. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about the name. I'm very curious.
Okay, sure. Yes, when Miko-chan was here in Hawaii with Kazu-chan, they took me and we connected very, very close together right away. And we did many ceremonies together. And prior to her leaving, my aumakua, which is my guardians, and her guardians, her aumakua, gave me her name of Hilina'i. They wanted her to take this name with her before she leaves the islands and said it was very important. And as far as the true meaning of her name, she has to tell you the true meaning. I cannot, because it was given to me by the ancestors, and it's not for me to say what the meaning is because it can mean many different things in our Hawaiian culture language. So only Hilina'i knows the true meaning because she received it from the ancestors. So she will have to tell you of the meaning.
では、実はその、フラの先生ということで、クムがね、ミコちゃんが日本に帰る前に、すぐね、本当にミコちゃんとカズさんと仲良くなって、いろんな祈りをたくさん一緒にしたんだそうですが、やっぱりそのハワイを出る前に、クムがその、おセリ様とか、ね、ガーディアンを通して、そのミコちゃんがヒリナイっていう名前が授かったそうです。でもそのヒリナイっていう名前が本当はどんな意味を持つのかは、実はご本人のみぞが知るということで、ミコちゃんに戻ってきました。
I believe like I'm living in the name, I'm live なんていうのかな、my name を生きているっていう感じ。
So he actually does feel that she lives the name. The name is in her life. The name represents her life.
Yes. Spreading out,
Yes.
pressing, and yeah, go all over. Then yes, but my last Kumu's lesson, while I'm dancing, I felt like, oh, I wish I could receive a Hawaiian name before I leave Hawaii. That was my last wishes, but I knew, I cannot ask. At the end of the Hula lesson, Kumu suddenly, she called me and then she gave me my name, Hilina'i. I was, oh my gosh. Yes. Hello, Kumu again.
出る、すごいですね。Wow, what a connection, right? I mean, you don't actually have to say loud. It's already, it's channeled through thought processes. Now, let me also turn to Palm. Palm, again, thank you for joining us. Your thoughts on, again, the prayer, Zeus message, the urgency, what's happening. Anything you'd like to share, please, I'm all ears.
Yes, hello. Thank you for having me on the show. Aloha, everybody. Thank you for just the work that y'all are doing as well, and for the questions. The power of prayer is pretty well documented throughout the ages, throughout the beginning of time, about human abilities to affect different people and areas and different places and waters, and making things calm. It's there's lots of studies out there that kind of thinking about things in instantaneously about like well, for instance, Ukraine, like just thinking about it, thinking good things about it, singing your songs, just going to sacred places or waterways and thinking about them. It helps a lot. It helps ease some of those tensions that might be out there, and just that is like the first step for us in helping that situation so it doesn't spread anywhere else. And so I think that's part of the reason why prayer is especially important right now, so it just kind of contains itself over there. It doesn't go anywhere else, and maybe our collective energies can help spread that consciousness to like dissipate it. So that's kind of like my version of I think how prayer could work for that place. And for right now, I don't know, there's a lot to be said about it.
Great, no, thank you so much. So, ポムね、やっぱりその祈りの力っていうのは、やっぱりもうね、長いこと人間の歴史とともにあったものだし、その祈りの力で、例えば水を清めたりとか、ね、そういうなくしたりっていうのはもう、実はいろいろ研究も進んでる、知られていることだから、それは本当のことだと。で、やっぱり例えばそのね、ウクライナに関しても、とりあえずまずもう考えることだけ、その思いを寄せるっていうことが第一歩。思いを寄せて考えるっていうことで、その今起こっていることがこれ以上悪くならないような、そういうなんかこう、抑える役目っていうことにもなると思うので、まずもう第一歩はそのみんなで考えて思いを寄せて、それをこう一緒の力にしていくっていうことじゃないかなと、とりあえずまず思いますということでした。みこちゃん、ゆうかさん、なんかこうリアクションありますか、今の段階で。
祈りについてということで、私もちょっとまとめてみました。
Yeah. So yeah, Miko actually has some thoughts organized on this topic.
All right, yes. Yeah, for me, prayer is to remember the connection with the souls and pray for the arts. I started playing because of my experience in India when I was young, which inspired me to sincerely play for world peace because I was grew up in Tokyo and then Japan is kind of peace country, so it was so different situation when I went to a different country. So I think that is because we forgot that we came from the source and love originally. So first of all, I wanted to remember that feeling I came from the original. I came from the source and love. So I wanted to come close to the source. So I started offering daily prayers for everyone to return to the consciousness of the source. I felt that is the cause of world peace. The way of restore. Yeah. So there are many shrines and temples in Japan all over. But when I learned about different situations in the world, I felt uncomfortable praying for my own personal wishes. Yeah. So when I moved to United States, I saw the harness ceremony held by indigenous, especially for me, it's a Hopi tribe. I went so many times. And also by Hawaiian ceremony for Heavenly Father and Mother Earth. Then my awareness changed completely. No matter how cold or hot they are seriously playing for the earth. And when I met especially Kumu Ehulani, I learned that everything in life is player. The way heaven, earth, and people coexist. Yes. I that's my feeling about the prayer. Thank you.
日本語にした方がいいかな、簡単に。
はい。
はい。みこちゃん本人から言っていただいてもいいんですが。
みこちゃん。
やっぱり
自分で言いますか。はい。はい。私が、祈りについてちょっと伝えたんですけど、私にとって祈りっていうのは、なんかこう、源とのつながりを思い出すこととか、その地球に対してお祈りすることだってことなんですよね。で、なんでその祈りを始めたかっていうと、実はその若い頃にインドに行ったことによって、日本とは全然違うシチュエーションを見たときに、これ本当世界が平和にならないと思って祈り始めたんですが、まずその世界平和じゃない理由が、みんながもともとその源とか、愛というところから来たことということを忘れてしまったことが原因なんじゃないかって思ったんですね。なので、その時に、まず自分がその源とか、本当の愛っていうのを思い出したくて、お祈りし始めて、で、さらに、その国でも世界の多くの人たちが、その源とか愛に、帰っていく、もともとそこから来たんだっていうコネクションをもう一回取り戻すための意識をなんかこうその時お祈りし始めたんですよね。で、なんか日本にもいろんなところにお寺とか神社とかあるんですけど、結構日本でのお祈りっていうのはなんかこう自分の願掛けが多かったりしたりとかして、なんとか成就しますようにとか、なんかそういうのがいっぱい見てきたりとか、自分も若い頃はそんな感じだったと思うんですけど、でもなんかいろんな世界を見たときに、ちょっとそれが違う感じがしてきて、で、なんか違和感を感じてたんですよね。で、日本にももちろん昔はね、そういう、今もそうですけど、八百万の神信仰であったりとか、本当はそういうところじゃないところなんですけど、そういうものがちょっと忘れ去られていて、ちょっと祈りの概念がずれ始めてきてたのかなって思ってて、で、それで本気に 祈りにを見させてもらったのが、そのアメリカに移動した時に、そのホピ族とか、ハワイアンの祈りとかを見た時に、どんなに寒かろうが暑かろうが、もう関係なく、本気でその大地のために、そして天のために、彼らは、朝だろうが、時間も関係なくお祈りしている姿を見た時に、すごい自分の意識が変わってったっていうお話と、で、特に本当にそのクムエフラニとの出会いで、クムがね、今日も朝も晩も昼も全部お祈りしてるよって言ってたように、なんかハワイアンってすべての植物触るにでも何にでも祈りを込めて大事にやっていたりとか、すべて捧げ物とかもマザーアースに帰るもの、帰っていく無駄なものがないっていうのかな。それで全部が作られていることを教えてくれたりとか、なんか一つのハワイの楽器を作るにしても一個一個全部このマナっていうエネルギーを込めて作っているのとかを見たときに、もう本当に生活すべてを祈りとして暮らしているんだなっていうのを組むから、で、それが本当に天と地と地球がね、一体化して共存するっていう生き方を学びましたということをお伝えしました。はい、ありがとうございます。
最後のところだけちょっと通訳しておきますね。So, Kumu and Pom, what was really interesting toward the end, so Miko was basically explaining, her thoughts on the prayer, in Japanese, based on her English message. But toward the end, it was very interesting. She was saying that in Hawaii, the way in which you pray, Kumu and also Pom, everything you touch, even the touch of a plant or leaf is an act of prayer. Every instrument they use in the ceremony is compostable, that everything goes back to the earth eventually. So, from any action to any item that you use, there is a connection to the earth, and there's an element of sort of what they call it, the mana, the energy form around it. So I thought it was very, very interesting. Perhaps you might want to elaborate a little bit on that point.
Yes, that is true, because everything that we do in our culture, we give respect to everything, especially if it comes from the earth, and we respect it, and always praying before we pick up our greens or our ferns and flowers that we will make for our leis, that we will wear for hula or for ceremony. We always ask permission to come into the forest by prayer, doing chant. So all of our chants and hula is like a prayer. So it's the Hawaiian way of our culture of praying by doing hula and chant. So we give respect before we go into the forest by doing a special prayer or chant, asking permission to come in, and we go and we pick only what we need. We do not overpick. And when we're in the forest, we are very silent, quiet as the forest, to respect the forest and everything that's in there, because we are just the visitors there in the forest. So we respect everything and everyone, every animal, tree, leaf in the forest. And before we leave, we always give thanks. We again do prayer. Thank you so much for letting us come into the forest and to gather our ferns or flowers, and thanking the ancestors. We always give thanks to our ancestors, because we feel that our ancestors are always watching over us. And by doing prayer always, and with love and peace and aloha in all of our prayers, it will be answered. And the ancestors love that, because they know that we are true in our heart and in our mind and our feelings and what we are doing. So it's very important, prayer every day, all through the day, no matter what you do in our culture.
Thank you. That's beautiful. Let me translate really quick. So やっぱりね、その植物を触るにも、例えば野菜をね、取る収穫するにもやっぱり祈る。 で、例えばその森に入ってセレモニーとかねをするときにも森に入る前にまず許可を得る。で、そこでセレモニーをする前にでフラを踊る前に森に入ってもいいですかという許可をお願いする。それもやっぱり祈りの一種。で、森の中で何かを使うときにももちろん必要なものだけ採取して、でそれ以上には取らないようにする。私たちが森の中に入ってくる、自分たちがビジターであって、やっぱりそのを持って入ることがやっぱり大事だし、それも祈りの一つで。で、森を出るときには森の中にいるすべての植物、木、動物、すべてのものに感謝を捧げる。で、セレモニーが終わって出るときにもう一度ありがとう。そして、もう一つ忘れてはいけないのは、その祈りというその体験の中にやっぱりそのご先祖様っていうこと存在にもやっぱりその愛とか平和とかっていう気持ちを持ってご挨拶をすると。で、そういう子たちでつながっている。ご先祖様たちは私たちのことをやっぱり見守っていて、でそういう気持ちで私たちが生活しているとやっぱり嬉しいと思ってくれる。そうやってつながっていきます。という、すごくサクッとやるしまいました。Palm, love to hear your thoughts too. How do you do the ceremonies? What does prayer? What is a prayer for you?
Well, there's so much to say about it. I just wanted to talk about a little bit about what Miko was saying about just like objects and animate objects having spirit and basically just energies to it, and even inanimate objects are kind of have energy to it nowadays, and you can infuse them different things with different energies and prayers and make it more I don't know, make it more universal in the sense that it relates to nature, like bringing everything back to the nature. And there's a lot of there's lots of spiritual protocols. We've lost a lot of them, but there's a lot of them that are just coming back through sharing these things like that we're doing right now through prayer work. We have a really high prayer work we're supposed to be doing right now in relationship to Mount Shasta and the water, and Mount Shasta being a volcano and the fire element within that, and ocean right next to us as well. We're saying prayers at our waters to go all the way down to the ocean ways and spread it. So we're praying at our source and it goes to the ocean. We're praying for our salmon to come back. We're praying for all the waters to calm, all the fires to calm down, unification of sacred places, unification of other prayers, unification to all the elements and spirits within Mother Earth, as well as in the cosmos, up to the stars, up to the sun, up to Great Spirit Olobus itself, and beyond, and trying to be doing our job as human beings, following the fire that's in our hearts, aligning up to our sacred fires that aligns up to the sacred mountain fires, to the sun, to the stars. We're just doing our best to clear ourselves so that we can be better prayer people. Like a lot of it is like just clearing our own hearts and being happy and like being full of love, self-love, and so able to emit that into our environment. And that's some of our prayer work right there.
That's amazing. Yeah, every summer you hear the news of the wildfires and droughts throughout the West Coast, and you really sort of trying to look at the sources of that, like not just the phenomenon of the wildfires and droughts, but really sort of look at the wholeness of the connections and how to sort of cure all of that. Let me again sort of translate a little bit really quick. さっきのそのミコさんとクムの話のように使うもの、オブジェクト、いろんなものにやっぱりエネルギーが入っているということは本当だと思います。で、その自然のものをやっぱり元に戻していく、自然のものと共存していくっていうそういう流れもだんだんできてきていると思います。で、そういうのスピリチュアルパワーのパワーハウスって彼は言いましたけれども、そういうものも少しずつ出来上がってきている。例えば例を挙げると今やっているそのお祈りの、儀式の一つに、シャスタさんと 火のがあって、シャスタさんはもともとは、火山ということで火のエレメント、火の要素もあると。でもやっぱり水としては本当に地下でずっとつながっていて、最後には海に行く。なので、その水のリストをすることで、きれいにすることで、例えば鮭が帰ってくるとか、例えば山火事、本当に西海岸山火事最近ひどいんですよね。山火事とか火事、火の要素を沈めるとかっていうことがやっぱり全部つながってくるって、そういったいろんな要素をつなげることが、最終的には本当になんか太陽とか星とかって全世界、全宇宙レベルとしてつながっていくので、なんかやっぱりそういうこういう会話を通じてそういう流れに参加できているのは嬉しいと思います。ということでした。なんか濃いですね。
すでに濃い。
There's such a rich conversation. I'm trying to take it in. どうしましょう。
優香ちゃんも祈りについてまとめたのがあるので、ぜひね。
はい。
はい。
I believe we need to pray to make the connection between humans, the earth, and the universe. The earth is our mother. She has raised the human. She gives us a lot of experiences and change for growth. The universe is our father. He has guided us in the right direction, but we forgot our great parents for a long time. So humans started to possess the earth, declare battle, and destroy it. Because we assume that the earth is our own. But I think these negative actions on the earth have same impact as harming ourselves. We cannot live when the earth has heavy damage. Children cannot live without parents. We need to remember we are the children of the earth and universe. We return prayer in our life, prayer that creates a peaceful ripple effect on the earth, in our society. Is prayer with love and gratitude for the earth. This is how the energy of prayer connects the universe. Then the earth will be healing and will be receive the wisdom of the universe. I'm sure that our great parents will protect us in the new world. Yes.
じゃあ、それも優香さん、すいません。なんか日本語にしてみます。
私自身はね、ゼウシと4年間やってたんですけど、ずっと逆らってたんですよね。で、逆らうのをやめて、一緒に本当に言うことを聞いて歩こうって去年の、ハワイが終わった後なので、本当この1年ぐらいなんですけど、それはなんでかっていうと、なんか、やっぱり大きな存在で、ゼウシって父親的な存在なんだなって感じて、でそこからすごく祈りをずっとやってきたんだけど、祈りの意味をすごく実感したんですね。でもうゼウシっていう宇宙の源っていう存在もいつも私が祈る土地を通して地球全体も母親であり父親であって、で私たちはただ子供で、子供が親に対して生かしてもらってることとか、この地球っていう土地を使わせてもらってることが、それに対しての感謝が祈りでもあって、でそうすることで親は子供が喜んでくれたらもっとやってあげるっていう感じで祈りをすることで私たちに実りを与えてくれてるっていう、なんか大きなことに気づいて、それで私はただゼウシに対して言ったら反抗期で 子供のわがままでね、逆らってただけだなって、もう結局いつも祈りをしたり、その言われるプロジェクトをした後に手のひらで転がされてただけだったなって自分の小ささに気づくので、だからやっぱこの大きな愛をこう宇宙と地球がこう母親と父親として私たちにこう今まで痛めつけることすら許してくれてたんだけど、やっぱりその親がいないと子供は生きれないし、そしてその何よりもこう私たちをこう育んでこう成長させるために食べ物をくれて場所を与えて温めてっていう風にしてくれてた地球が傷んでしまうと生きれない。で、今私たちはそれを忘れてしまってるから痛めつけてしまってきたし、今戦争っていうものが始まっているのもそれをこう自分の父親母親を痛めつけるって言ってることに忘れてしまってるから、なんかそれを思い出すためにもこう祈りを戻す、しかもそれがその時だけじゃなくてこう日々の生活の中で祈りがある、こう感謝を思い出す、で愛を思い出す、そうすることで地球が癒されていくし、で宇宙も私たちに対してこう次に進む方法、情報、英知を与えてくれるし、そしてこう何よりもこれからの新しい世界に行くために私たちをこう守ってくれる。祈りをすることでそういうこう大きな循環がこう生まれていくと思うので、もうとにかく今祈ることも大事だけど、こう暮らしの中に戻していくっていうことがすごく大事だと思う。
I think that there are a lot of common themes coming out. I think, Yuka, Miko, and Kumu and Pam, you also touched upon the need to sort of restore, the need to reunite, right? I mean, not just the earth and people, but also different elements, and how, Yuka just said that, we're children, and we really sort of need to reconnect to our parents, that the earth and the universe. And Kumu, you said we are visitors, right, to the larger beings of the forest and spirits. And I think we're actually talking about the same thing in a different vocabularies, that we need to remember, we need to go back to the place where we are the visitors, we are the children, they are larger beings, the father figures and mother figures, the earth and universe. And we need to restore that, the connection through the day-to-day and act of praying, not just, ad hoc, well, there's a crisis, we have to pray, but more like every day, every moment, we need to be reminded of the power of the prayer and how to connect through the peace and love that will be generated through the act of praying. なんかね、多分同じことをいろんな角度でおっしゃってるね。なんかクムはビジターっておっしゃったけど、多分優香さんが言ってる子供とね、その親とかビジターと森っての多分同じようなことを違う言葉で言ってるんだなという感じが、ただそれを思い出すためにね、優香さんも言ったけど、なんか毎日のお祈り、それってすごく皆さんお祈りってどうやってやってるんだろうって気になるんですけど。I'm actually really sort of curious, like how you do the prayer. I think some people in the audience might also want to know how do you do it? Like how do you pray?
For me, for prayer, every morning I wake up and I give thanks for me to have this day of life, and giving thanks to everything that I have and everything that I've been blessed to have, and always thanking the mighty ones, our gods and goddesses, for choosing me to do what I'm doing, bringing love and aloha and peace to everyone that I meet. And a few weeks ago, I was asked by what is this? It's Unified.org. It's a world peace organization of millions of people to do a special blessings at a waterfall outside of Hilo. So we went to the waterfall and we did a wonderful blessing there of the waters of the waterfall that will go into the ocean, and the healing powers and prayers that we do will travel into the ocean and spread throughout all the world, to all the waters of the world, to help with this healing of the earth and people that is very much needed. So this is another way of prayer that I do. And I work with many people from all around the world that come to me for ceremony or to learn the Hula or just for a cleansing. And I always teach them how to pray and how to be humble and to receive the true meaning of aloha and to take it with them wherever they go. And when they leave my session with me, they receive and they become a different person, like a very beautiful water, flowing water, that I know they are going to do what I asked them to do with this prayer of bringing love and peace to everyone around the world.
Oh, thank you. No, that's really beautiful. Thank you so much. Let me translate really quick. やっぱりその、ね、祈りをどうやってやってるんですかという質問に対して、クムさんはやっぱりまず朝起きて、で、その日一日に感謝をする。そして自分が持っているもので、自分が受け取っているものすべてに対して感謝をします。で、そしてそのその神々に対して自分が今ここにいてできること、伝えることをさせていただけることに感謝をしています。で、そのセレモニーという意味で言うと、例えば数週間前にはUnify.org っていうその世界平和を目指す団体に頼まれて、セレモニーというのをやったんですけど、その時にはヒロ、ハワイかな、ヒロというところのその郊外にある滝のところに行ってセレモニーをしました。で、滝、つまり水はいずれ海に流れるということは世界中に広がっていく。なので、その滝の水を通して世界中に、平和と愛が広がっていくような、そういうセレモニーをしました。で、私、クムが、そのフラとかね、あとは、ジョーカーのためのセレモニーとか、いろいろ頼まれてすることはたくさんありますが、そういう時には、その参加者の方に、どうやってお祈りをするか、でそのお祈りだけじゃなくて、どうやって受け取るかということを、それを、受け取って、っていうことを、でそのアロハっていうその本当の意味を理解してもらえるように教えています。で、その皆さんね、参加者の方がそのセレモニーと私のそのセッションが終わって帰るときには、やっぱりその愛とか平和とかっていう気持ちだけじゃなくて、その自分の中に流れる水っていうものを持ってされるようにしていますということでした。ではちょっとポムにも聞いてみたいと思います。Pom, may I also ask how you do the prayer? You talked a lot about the water ceremonies. I'm very curious about how you go about it.
Yeah, that's a complex question. There's all kinds of prayers. There's minimum ones for myself, like Kumu said about just waking up early and giving thanks for the day and just just praying for the wealth and like health, goodness, and like everything that relates to facilitation of life and flourishment. Like those kinds of words. We try to say those words as much as I try to say those words as much as I can in my mind. Just like prayers of repetition of thought process, just like love and like waking up sacred site, different things for positivity for people. Just always just thinking positive in your mind is a prayer of how I view it. And then you kind of it's a long story about what I'm trying to say. Like I don't really know how to give a short answer to all of that. But the highest prayers that we're doing, of course, like I was saying, is that it involves regalia work, which are prayers inside of how you get just regalia materials. And then while you're making it is prayer work. And then when you're finishing up, finishing them up, you kind of finish it off with a prayer and infusion of light to have it work inside of a higher prayer that you do together. So there's like individual prayers, then there's like collective prayers that you have as a tribe that you have a specific intention for you, and it makes it more powerful. You have more people aligned up for the same cause and prayer. And so it's kind of getting harder and harder to do that, but it's also people are waking up, so we're hoping it's also getting easier to do that with more people aligned up with a common prayer, like everybody here, praying for the new world to come in, and just that you know, the more people aligned up with that, the better. And I have to say this, where I come from, we're always looking to wake up sacred place, and there's all kinds of different sacred places designed to help people out for different things that might be like causing disharmony to people, but also to different land places. And they say that in order to restore some of these places, you have to restore a sacred place, and restore the waterways, restore the ocean, restore the forests, restore everything to its natural ecological state. And that will also uplift the prayer work. And so just talking about that is part of the prayer work for me. Just saying that, and talking about the sacred any chance we get. Yeah, there's so much to say. There's a lot. There's a lot to talk about.
Yes, no, thank you so much. I'm sure Miko and Yuka have something to say about Mount Shasta and New Zealand as places to wake up in the coming weeks and months. But let me also translate. やっぱりポムもね、やっぱすごく深いので、内容が簡単に説明できることは全然ないんですが、そのクムがおっしゃったように、朝早く起きて、お祈りするっていうと、心の中でいいので、もちろんなんかね、感謝の気持ちとか、あともうとにかく物事をポジティブに捉えるっていうことも祈りなので、なんかそこから始めるのもやっぱり大事だと思いますと、自分もそう思いますと言ってました。でやっぱりポムもね、祈りの専門家なので、やっぱり部族の中でお祈りの儀式があるときには、やっぱり部族一員としての個人のお祈りもあるし、やっぱり決められた、なんかこうね、多分、中には部族のね、長老みたいな方とか、本当にお祈りの中でもね、もっと上の方というか、中心になって祈るところに参加するとか、いろんなレイヤーも形もあるので、簡単には説明できないんですが、部族の方ではやっぱりもうちょっと違った形のね、自分ができるだけじゃないお祈りの仕方もあります。で、それは確かにいろいろあってなんか簡単には言えないんだけれども、やっぱり新しい世界に入っていくということで、今後大事になるのは聖なる土地を起こすことだそうです。聖なる土地を起こして、その場所でその水の流れを清めて、森林を回復させて、そのエコロジー、生物多様性も含めて、すべてのシステムを、もう一度回復させていくっていう、そういう場所を、そういう聖なる場所を発見して、そこを整えていく、清めていくっていうこともすごく大事だと思います。ということで、素晴らしくゆかちゃんとみこちゃんのプロジェクトになんか流れが出てきた感じですかね。
ですね。はい。ぜひ、かなり前半盛り上がったので、そろそろゼウしようっていう感じなんですけど。ゆかちゃん、ミュートです。
じゃあ、そうだね。ニュージーランドのことも聞くんだよね。
そうそう。ニュージーランドとシャスタの件を、シャスタの日にちとか、言ってもらった方がいいかもしれない。
10月10日。
So I think response to your last, point about sacred places, I think, Yuka and Miko have a very specific plans for that. And 10月10日がどうしたっけ？
10月10日がシャスタなんです。
So there will be a ceremony/project on Mount Shasta on the 10th of October.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
はい、楽しみにしています。詳しいことはもう少し後で詰めましょうかって感じですかね。
Also, summer solstice, June 21st is Aotearoa, New Zealand. That's next destination after France. Yes. And we also wanted to ask about, should we ask New Zealand and Shasta together? ニュージーランドとシャスタ両方一緒に聞いてみますか？ハワイの関係みたいな。
そうだね。当日ハワイと祈り合わせするから。
So we want to invite Zeus to descend upon us, and perhaps we can maybe ask a question about Hawaii, Mount Shasta, and New Zealand, as as again those sacred places that the palm you mentioned. The connections of those three locations. What does he envision for these locations when he comes? じゃあ聞いてみます。ということで、じゃあ、そろそろ。
はい。
はい。Alright. Let us,
よろしくお願いします。
よろしくお願いします。
お呼びいただきありがとうございます。今日も皆さんと多くのお話をさせていただきますと光栄です。たくさんの方の意識がここに集まり、そして皆さんがこれからの世界、地球に対して思いを寄せていく時間になりますと、良いかと思っております。どうぞよろしくお願いいたします。
よろしくお願いします。Thank you for inviting me. Looking forward to the conversation with you. I'm really hoping that this session is going to be a place for collective awareness to think through what's needed for the future world and new world. という感じで、ゼウシ、また通訳をつけていきます。よろしくお願いします。
ゼウシ、今、世の中ではついに戦争が始まり、そして今、国を越えて今戦争のことについて話し合っていたんですが、ゼウシから見て今地球のこの戦争というのはどういう状況なのでしょうか。
3週段階に入っております。あなた方が新しい世界へと変化を遂げ、そして新しい現実を創造していく中で、これまでの古いものを壊し、まずゼロに戻す必要はありました。その方法がどういった形なのか、どういったプロセスを踏むのかは、あなた方の集合意識が選択することになっておりました。そしてあなた方は今回戦争という形で新しい時代へと切り替えていくことを選ばれたのです。
So the question was, so there is a war taking place at the moment. How do you see the world at the moment? And the answer was, so Zeus said, you are in the final stage of a transition towards a new world. We need the old system, the existing system, had to be deconstructed and had to be turned into zero before the new things could begin. But it was up to you to decide how to break down the old system. And you chose a war as a medium to deconstruct and head towards the new world order.
あなた方は暗闇の中で気づきを得ます。新しいものに切り替わるとき、新しいものが生まれるとき、まず暗闇がやってくるのです。その中であなた方は本当の光を見つけることになるでしょう。今、世界が闇になっていく段階をあなた方は感じているかもしれません。しかし、あなた方は闇に閉ざされているわけではありません。闇のベールが多いあなた方は新しいものを見つけるために、これまで見てきたものをシャットアウトしているだけなのです。そのことに気づかれてください。我々はこの争いが起こることで、破壊という形で、戦争という形で、今回のプロセスを踏むということは、あなた方に先にお伝えしておりました。それは、あなた方がこのプロセスを乗り越えていき、新しい光を掴んでいく方々であるということを理解しているからです。
So, the new awareness is born from the darkness. You find a light in the dark. When new things are born, you might feel like you are lost in the darkness, that you might not see what's ahead of you. But a light will be found. You might feel that the world around you is getting darker and darker. You cannot see things anymore. But it's the same as the process, but you are not lost or you are not locked in the darkness. You are beginning to be able to shut down what you have seen so far, so that you can start seeing new things. I've told you before that there will be a conflict, destruction, and war, because I knew and I know that you can overcome this darkness and find new light. You are the chosen people.
今この世の中が戦争起こっている中で、私たちはその今祈りということについて、ハワイアンの先住民の方や先住民のインディアンの方から、お話を聞いておりますが、この地球にとって祈りの力というのは原子からとってどういうことなのでしょうか。今なぜこのお話が必要なのかを教えてください。
あなた方は人類における大きなカルマを今解消しようとしておられます。人類で最大の争いは戦争という形で行われ、そして多くの魂、土地、そういったものが大きなカルマを抱え傷つきました。それを今解消しようとされています。現在対面されている戦争というテーマに対し、あなた方がこれまでとは違う対応をすることでカルマが解消されるのです。ですので、これは戦うという手段でもなく、正義と悪の対立という構図を生み出す争いに してはいけないということです。このテーマに対しあなた方がカルマ解消のために対応する方法は一つ。祈りを捧げるということ、そしてあなた方が愛と調和のエネルギーを広げ、争いのない方法で戦争を終わらせるということです。そうすることであなた方の人類のカルマはゼロに戻るでしょう。
So why do we talk about? I mean, we have spoken for 1 hour about the prayer and act of praying with the indigenous tribal teachers from Hawaii and California. Why do we talk about the prayer? So Zeus says that you are in the process of cleansing the karma of the humankind throughout the history. Of course, the biggest karmas of the humankind have been created by a series of wars throughout the history. Now you face yet another war, and you must respond to this war in another way, in a different way from what humankind did in the past, so that you can cleanse the karma of warfare once and for all. You must not respond to this warfare in a very binary, destructive way, as if this is a war between justice and the evil. That's not the way. This time around, you need to respond to the war through prayer, through the act of praying, with love and harmony, so that you can change the course once and for all.
あなた方が今気づくべきことは、戦争を主導する国や戦争に参加する国には祈りがないということです。祈りを忘れた国の方々が正義と悪の戦いをなさいます。祈りが日常の中に残り、そしてそれを行いとして続けている方々のいらっしゃる国は戦争をしません。なぜなら地球が痛むからです。あなた方はこの時期を待っていたはずです。あなた方の本来の生き方、祈りと、そして大いなる意志、母なる地球とつながり、あなた方がご自分たちの世界を取り戻していかれるこの時期が来ることを皆さんは知っていたはずです。まさに今がその時です。そして祈りをなさっている方々、国はあなた方が思っている以上にたくさんあるのです。戦争を起こし、戦争に参加する国が数が多く、パワーがあり、規模が大きいように感じているかもしれません。ですが、本質的にはあなた方の数の方が多いということをご理解ください。それを理解した上で、あなた方がつながり、祈りを、波動を広げていくということ。そうすることで、祈りを忘れた方々も、 それを取り戻していかれるようになるでしょう。
So, what you need to become aware of, what you need to be mindful of now, is that the countries that are leading, causing the wars, and the countries that are joining the wars, they lack the power of the prayer. There isn't enough prayer in these countries in the war games. The countries that have forgotten how to pray and what to pray for, they are participating in the war under the name of justice to defeat the war. It's justice versus the evil. But there are countries where the prayer is part of the daily life. These countries do not choose the war because the wars harm the earth. You must have been waiting for this time, because now is the time to regain and restore the way of life that connects us to the Mother Earth. You must have been waiting for this change of things to regain the world that was supposed to be. You knew this was coming and you've been waiting for. Now is the time. There are countries that are engaged in the prayer, where people pray as part of the daily life. You may think that those countries who are causing for leading and joining the wars are powerful and big, and they are the ones leading the world, but it's not true. In essence, you who believe in the prayer, you are more. Your numbers are larger than those countries. What you have to do now is to understand this and connect to the people who understand it as well, and pray together, change the vibration, and spread the new vibration. And by doing that, even those who have forgot, those countries or those in the country who have forgotten the power of prayer would eventually begin to see the way, your way.
Do you have any question to source, Zeus?
No, it's very clear what he's talking about and what I am doing and the people that I know of, what we're doing in our prayers for world peace and bringing it to everyone and everywhere that we go. And yes, we are more powerful, with our positive, wonderful energy, our mana, positive of keeping this love and peace is more strong. It's much more stronger than the evil. Definitely. I know that. Yes. Mahalo.
今ね、やってることを祈ってきてること、そして仲間たちと祈ってきたことが、やっぱりこれでいいんだなという感じがします。そして、やっぱりその、ね、愛とか、調和とか祈りの力、ポジティブなエネルギーっていうのが、基的にはやっぱりもっと、ね、強いんだということを実感します。
Kumu, do you have any question to Zeus?
No, I don't really.
Yeah, I just
Because,
said to Pom. Kumu.
Oh, okay. Mahalo.
Mahalo.
I didn't have much of a question either. I mostly have I'm not sure how to ask my question. I don't know how to. I've asked Yoshi already this question. I was maybe ask for blessings and maybe for if people as a way to spread this prayer more. Of course, restoring our ceremonies more and more and praying in this world in this that we're in right now more and more. But also like I'm just trying to navigate spreading the prayer inside of places such as this, StreamYard and Zoom and Instagram and different online platforms, and to the next platform inside the virtual reality metaverses, if that's a possible area to spread prayer into. And I've already asked Yoshi this, and I'm just like thinking about it as he's talking again. I don't have much of a question at this moment.
Yeah, and I think but it remains the question. よし、前にも多分質問したかと思うんですが、やっぱりそのね、ポムさんとかキムさんとかもうすでにね、自分のいる場所で祈りということをされている。それを広げるための方法として、ね、こういうふうにそうズームとかオンラインこういう会話をしてますが、なんかこれでいいのかな、他にもっとできることはあるのかな。祈りを広めるというのはどういう形になるでしょうかという質問です。
一人一人が日々の中で祈りを行うということ、まずそれが基本にはなるでしょう。しかし、我々があなた方にオーダーしたいことは、大きな規模での祭りを皆さんがそれぞれ開催していただきたいということです。これは一つ、皆さんが同じテーマで祭りを行う必要があります。ただ、この地球の新しい始まりを祝う祭りを皆さんのそれぞれの場所で行っていただきたいのです。これはそれぞれの場所でそれぞれの日に行うこともぜひされてください。ですが、一点、同じ日に世界の多くの方々がそれぞれの場所で祭りを行い、同じ意図により祈るということをなさっていただく日を設けていただきたいのです。そしてそれがあなた方のネットワークでつながり合い、コミュニケーションを取り合い、それぞれの存在やそれぞれの思いを共有し、そういった日をどうか作ってください。そうすることで争いも小さくなるでしょう。そしてあなた方のように祈られている方々の場が見つけることができない方々も大きな光がたくさんの場所で放たれたとき、自分自身が参加できる場も見つけやすくなります。そうすることで意識が戦争へと向かわなくなります。どうか皆さんでその日を設けてください。
So of course, the daily prayer is the fundamental, right? Everyone should start with that. But in addition, I would like you to organize a large-scale ceremony festival, and to celebrate the new beginning of the earth. It can be any location, wherever you are, but around the world on the same day. You can give a different themes to each location depending on where you are. but it has to be on the same day so that different groups, a lot of people across the planet will come together, pray, and celebrate and share. So it will create sort of a global connection, which would not only de-escalate tensions that exist, but also widen the circle of the prayers. There may be many people out there who would like to pray, who would like to join, but don't know where to go. They would also be able to find the networks of the circle of prayers if you organize that large-scale global festival ceremony. This would again, the collective awareness to be created by this by the global festival, of course, would reduce tensions and contain the war.
アスカプロジェクトの方で、フランスが4月29日で、そして次が6月21日にニュージーランドなのですが、ニュージーランドは、今、ニュージーランドとハワイとシャスタ、この3つの場所はどういう関係性があるのでしょうか。
あなた方は同じエネルギーを共有されています。レムリアのエネルギー、そしてレムリアの竜がそれぞれの土地にいらっしゃるのです。これは元は一つのエネルギー、つまり竜でした。レムリアの大陸が沈んだとき、必要なエネルギーや情報をレムリアの方々は分け、そしてあらゆる場所に隠しました。これは霊的なその土地を守る竜の場合も同じだったのです。聖なるエネルギーとは必要な時に、そして必要な形で使われないといけません。レムリアが沈み、地球の波動が降りていくという時期になった頃、この聖なるエネルギーは悪用される可能性が高かったのです。そして神々もあらゆる土地に移動し、分かれることとなりました。しかし、地球がまた新たにレムリアの周波数を取り戻し、レムリアを復活させるタイミングが来たとき、この竜たちもまた一つにならねばなりません。そして本来あったレムリアの大陸のエネルギーを引き戻していく必要もあるのです。その3つの場所に存在している竜をそれぞれ起こす必要があります。あなたはニュージーランドにそれをするために行かれます。シャスタもこれから目覚めていかれるでしょう。ですが、まずハワイで目覚めた竜とニュージーランドの竜をつなげる必要があります。この2つの土地はより近いエネルギーを持ち、土地そのものが本来は一つであったからです。
そのお祭りを先ほど言っていたみんなで日付を合わせるお祭りとしてやるということでいいのですか？それともまた別にゼウスは言われているのですか？
これは別の日だと思われてください。 あなた方のプロジェクトは今、あくまでも竜を起こし、そのグリッドをつなげていくことで、レムリアの土地を再生しようとしておられます。これと並行し、あなた方が今の世界の現状、戦争というエネルギーに対し、本来の愛の周波数を取り戻し、そしてカルマの解消を目指すために、築かれた地球上のすべての方々が参加できる祭りを行っていただきたい。それは皆さんの中で思ったインスピレーションの日付で結構です。
はい。Okay, so right. So the question was about the Aspacotam project's next steps, right? So we had the ceremony in Hawaii last year, and now the next step, and then the ceremony in France. And the next step is in the New Zealand on the 21st of June on the summer solstice, and then followed by another event in Shasta. So the question was the connection among those three locations. And the Zeus answer was that these three locations share the same energy deriving from the Lemurian time. And therefore, by the same token, the three locations, and in those three locations, three different dragons sleep. But those three locations, those three dragons, they were in the past of the same energy. When the Lemurian continent sunk into the ocean, the surviving people of Lemuria divided the necessary information for the civilization into three, and had also three dragons to protect each location of the hiding. Those three sacred energies, well, sacred energy has to be used at the necessary time in the necessary form. It cannot be and should not be misused. Therefore, when those when the Lemurian energy was split into three, and with the three dragons going in each location, the gods also had to split. Now that we are at the stage where with the ascension of the earth, time has come to restore the Lemurian energy. And therefore, all those three locations, all those three dragons sleeping in those three locations also have to be united. And by doing so, we will regain the Lemurian energy. And therefore, we need to awaken those three dragons in each location. You go to New Zealand. Eventually, the dragon in Shasta will also be awake. But first, the step is to reunite the dragon that awoke in Hawaii last year and connect the energy to the dragon in New Zealand. Because the Hawaii and New Zealand, they're closer, and they share the closer level of energy, because they were at one point, they were the one. Miko asked the following follow-up question, whether that the New Zealand date is the same as the new project that we just heard from Zeus about the World Peace Prayer. And Zeus said, no, actually, those are two separate things. The Aspacotam project, Hawaii, New Zealand, and Shasta, and so forth, it is a project to restore the Lemurian energy. But separately, or in addition to that, we need another prayer in which everyone on the planet can participate, and cleanse the karma and restore the energy of love and peace. That day for the global prayer event can be any day of your choice. Any day that inspires you can be that date, but it's separate from the series of the tower, Stone Tower project.
では、ぼちぼちお時間なので、ゼウシ今日はありがとうございます。もう、ゼウシの方から最後に一言、今日の参加してくれた皆さんと聞いている皆さんにメッセージをよろしくお願いします。
皆さんがご自身のこれから生きられる世界を作り上げていくということができるということ、その力をお持ちであるということをどうか思い出してください。我々はこれまで皆さんにたくさんのメッセージを送りました。あなた方の自由意志に基づくルールから起こることの詳細を伝えることはこれまでできませんでした。あなた方の現実に我々が参加するということが難しかったのです。しかし、地球は変革の時を迎え、宇宙の振動数に戻ってきております。地球が地球の閉ざされたルールだけではなく、この大いなる宇宙のルールの中に戻ってきているのです。そのため、我々はあなた方に何をすべきか、そして何が起こるのかを広く伝えていくことができる時となりました。これはとても我々にとって喜ばしいことであり、あなた方と真の共同創造ができるということにもなります。我々にとって今の状況とは光そのものです。あなた方と話し合い、共に創造ができるからです。どうか我々のことを信じていただけますと光栄です。そしてあなた方が光の世界を作り上げる神の力をどの方もお持ちであるということ、それを思い出していただきますとさらに光栄です。今日はお呼びいただきありがとうございました。またどうぞお呼びください。
Let me translate the last part. So the final sort of message from Zeus for today was, please do not forget that you have chosen to create the new world, and you have the power to do so. In the past, the gods, the universal beings, could not really interfere into your reality. We were separated. But now the earth is ascending, it's transforming, and the earth is coming closer to the same level of the universal vibration, which means that the earth is coming closer to the universal rules. Therefore, now the gods, universal beings, can communicate with the people directly through these messages. And the gods can tell us what is going to happen and what you can do about it. This direct communication, this closer, being able to be in a closer range, it's a pleasure for us, because now we can create with you. We are now entering into what is called the true joint creation process. We can create the light together through dialogue. And you, therefore, have the divine power to create the world of light. It would be my pleasure if you believe me saying so. And I look forward to another conversation opportunity. Thank you.
お疲れ様です。お帰りなさい。どうでしたか、ゆかちゃん。
いや、重たすぎて、エネルギーが重たすぎて、結構大変。でもなんか、違うプロジェクトまで言って帰ったかな。なんかよくわかんないけど、もうこれはもう手に余るので、自然にそんな流れになったらいいなっていう感じで聞いてた感じです。ただ、当のミッションはもう自分のミッションやと思って最後までやろうと思ってるんだけど、お祭りは世界でみたいなのはきっとこれを聞いてなんか感じた方々で自然になっていったらいいのかなっていうような感じで、手に余るというか、もうなんていうかね、意図してできることじゃないなって、なんかそこにちょっと衝撃だった。なんかそんなことを言い出したから、おーみたいな感じ。
So we were asking how Yuka felt in channeling the message today, and she said it was pretty heavy. And they're already busy with the Stone Tower project, right? I mean, 8 of them, right, from Hawaii to France to New Zealand to Shasta, and there'll be more, including Russia. And so they have their hands full, and now we have yet another global scale event order coming from Zoo. So it was heavy, and Yuka was saying she would of course continue with the Stone Tower project, but when it comes to the global world peace layer events, hopefully some of us listening in or participating in this session will be inspired to do something about it and make new connections and leading to something a bit more organic. 今日もなんかお腹いっぱいね。お腹いっぱいでもうなんか降りた後何も喋れないってなる。Oh my goodness. No, I mean, it was such a rich conversation. I mean, so much to digest. I realized that Kum and Palm, we have kept you online for an hour and a half. So maybe it's a wrap time. But any final thoughts, messages, suggestions?
All I can think of or say is we're on the right path together in the light, in bringing world peace and love, and we just need to stay strong together, and it's going to happen. And I'm very honored that I was chosen to do this wonderful work that we are all doing together. And mahalo nui loa for all of you, what you are doing. It's so I can't even put it into words what you're doing. It's unimaginable of people like me that I'm meeting with you. We're doing the same, so it just makes us more powerful, and we have to remember that we're working together, and our mana is going to become one strong, loving, peaceful force. Mahalo.
なんか自分たちがやってきたことがやっぱ正しかったんだなっていうのが実感できてとても嬉しいです。で、本当に、こんな形でつながって、で皆さんね、やられてることもすごく本当に素晴らしいと思います。なんかそういう仲間に同じ場所なんかところにいて、で自分もやっぱこういった仕事をね任されて本当に嬉しく思っています。でこれがどんどんつながって大きな力になると本当に嬉しいです。Palm, I can't see you. You're in the darkness. Any parting words would be much appreciated.
Yeah, sorry about that. It's getting dark out here for me. I had to leave from a prayer place right now, actually, to join the call. But I'm very grateful to join. It's good to see you all again, and I'm very grateful to be here. I just wanted to just say that mostly. I don't feel like I have much to add other than just to remind people about the sacredness of water and the sacredness of our mountain ways and how we're all connected through this, and how we're not all connected to the ocean. And we'll be connecting up and we're also connected up in our own tribal histories of how we're connected up to New Zealand and Mauna Kea. Outside of hearing this message, we have messages already that connect us up from the old times, ancient way of life as well, and saying the same thing, about going and bringing that wave back into the now. And how we go about doing this is kind of innovative thing right now for everybody to we're all kind of in a learning process because it's 2022. It's a weird time right now, especially with the war coming in and just the dark agenda's attempt at chaos and the failure of that, and then us bringing in the light to offset it all. It's like it's part of prophecy, and we're just following that. And we want to just send our alliances and allegiances and gratitudes and mahalos and thank you all for being a part of this world prayer with us as well. And yeah, we'll be joining in from Mount Shasta always. So each other blessing. Thank you.
No, thank you. そう、ポモさん、なんかね、本当は、それこそ祈りの儀式の最中だったのに、ね、これに参加するために、それを抜け出してきたっていうので、ありがとうございました。ね、やっぱりそのね、水とか山とかね、それがいずれ海につながってっていう、そういう本当に大事なところで、それが実はもう本当に彼のその部族の歴史の中でも語られてきたこと、で、そのニュージーランドとハワイがつながってるっていうのもね、実はその昔から言われてきたことっていうのが本当に現実になっている。で、それをね、昔からその続いてきたその知恵というのを、2022年のこの現代、戦争も起こっている中で、いろんな形でね、それをいかにその、なんかね、本当に実現していくかっていうところで、なんかみんなとお話できてすごく嬉しかったです。なので、一緒に光を作っていけることをとても嬉しく思っています。という感じですかね。いや、なんか名残惜しいですが、1時間半を超えたので、ね。So it's been a very enriching, very thought-provoking hour and a half, and big thank you for Kumu and Pom for joining us today. Thank you so much. We learned so much from you, and it was a beautiful session. Thank you so much.
So I'm so excited to see Kumu, Efrani, and Pom in Aotearoa. We never know, but
June, right?
Yeah, yes.
It's in June, right?
Sounds wonderful.
21st, yes, that day. We have to find out where to put the harmony stone in New Zealand. Yuka already saw the vision, which is in in the mountain. I don't know where. Yeah, but we feel it's 北の方だっけ?
だってね、北の方だった。
North part. Yes.
North.
And then Yuka also saw the green lake. でしょ? なんか水色の湖見たんでしょ?
丸い湖みたいに見えた。
Yeah, she already saw the vision. So it's, I don't know where, but
Wow, the search begins.
Yeah, there's a special lake. There's a special lake. It's called Lake Waihi.
Lake Waihi.
Yeah,
Well,
and it's a big green lake, and there's a mountain above it.
Wow.
And it's hot springs. I've been there.
hot spring なの
Very
って
special.
What is the meaning of the lake? Why is
I don't know the meaning. Waihi. So it's Waihi. Waihi.
why he?
So why us in Hawaiian, why is water, yeah?
Yes.
So maybe the waters,
うん。
and it's in north, the north side.
Oh, really?
Maybe,
Ooh.
yes.
Then let's go together, Kun.
Hallelujah to all of you.
Thank
Mahalo.
you.
We will keep in
Mahalo.
touch. Bye.
Thank you for your time. Mahalo.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Much love, everybody.
Bye.
Aloha.
Aloha. Bye,
Aloha.
everybody. See you all. See you soon, hopefully. Okay.
Yes, yes.
Bye, everybody.
ありがとうござい
ございます。
ありがとうございました。